Hallo gestalten Darstellung analog students. Welcome to a tutorial on how to scale a bitmap image into an existing DWG file in RHINO6. Now we're starting with a base which I made from a software called Elk, but we won't get too concerned with the details of how to make that. Rather, let's focus on how to scale an image, a background image, into a plan. That could be a satellite image, or in our case, an OSM map. So the first thing to do is, welcome to RHINO6 if you haven't already used it before. Just to let you know that the main tool palette is on the left-hand side. The layers and properties are on the right-hand side, and all your extra tools are here in this submenu at the top. And you'll notice at the bottom here there is your snapping tools, your ortho. Right now we're just going to keep our OSnap tools on with endpoint, point, mid, etc. With Smart Track on as well. We're going to keep those options on, and we're going to be in our standard palette. To navigate through in Rhino, if you haven't already used it before, to zoom is just the scroll middle mouse button. To pan left and right in top view plan is right click and move. To get out of the top view into your four views, you double click the view and then double click again onto a different view, and then you're into a different view space. And to pan in perspective, you simply hold down right click and scroll and move, and then to pan again is right click and shift. So that's how you move around in RHINO6 and also RHINO5. Now your Mac interface, if you're using Mac, is going to look a little different to this, but I guess most of you will be using the SIPOL computers, so they're using Windows and should look identical to this. Okay, so to import an image, simply type in the command picture frame into the command line and hit enter, and it'll bring you to this this panel. Go to your OSM map file that you've downloaded, hopefully from the Tub Cloud. Select the file, open, and then it's going to give you select the first point, and then then you'll see the bitmap appear. Might take a couple of seconds, and we're roughly going to guess the scale, something like that for now. So now we've got a bitmap. We're also going to create a layer and we're going to put this object. It appears as a surface, but it's actually a detailed bitmap image. So I'm going to create a layer. I've already done that. To make a new layer is this tab here, new layer. Call it plan base. SM. And then while that object is selected, when it's appearing yellow, right click the layer and change object layer, and that'll change that object. You can also give that layer a color. That'll change the object's layer, and we obviously want it at the bottom so it's not covering any of the detail. So now we've got our bitmap image, but we need to now align it with the existing DWG lines that we have here. So you can see I'm moving this plan around, and we need to align it. So we're going to pick a point, a reference point, to move the plan by. So we're going to use the move command by typing move, enter. It's going to say point to move from. I'm going to use this corner as our main reference point. So we're going to select this corner, and we're going to move it to, you see here is the building, so we're going to move it to the corner of this building. And now we're going to rotate the image. So we're going to use the rotate command. Select the center of rotation, which again will be this point. The second point of rotation, which is going to be this end point of the building. And a third, which, if you've got your snapping tool on, to intersect will be where the building intersects at that specific location. So now we've aligned the base plan and the DWG lines, but we haven't got it exactly to scale. You can see the building there. There's a mismatch in scale, so we need to scale that object as well by using the scale command. We can select the base point, exactly the same base point here. The first point, which is going to be this outer point of that building. So building number 47, the outer, and we're going to drag it to this pink line, which will be the new scaled, correct scale. And now you can see that we've got a really well scaled OSM plan. Everything's matching, all the lines are matching pretty perfectly. I'm quite happy with that, so we'll work with that. So that's the first step. Go ahead and save this file with today's date when you're at this stage, so we don't lose it. And now, once we've done that, we now need to create a paper space. So to do that, you see this tab at the bottom, hit the plus sign, and then click New Layout. And that's going to ask you what your layout, which layout options you want to choose. We want Adobe PDF, size A1. It'll automatically give you these measurements. We want portrait, and hit OK. And that'll take you to this space here. So this is paper space, this is not model space, just so you've got to learn the difference between these two spaces. What we're going to do now is activate this frame so we can scale the plan to the paper space. So to activate the frame, we hit the frame. So we double click the frame. I'm just going to show you that again. So we double click the frame, and now when we scroll, you can see that the plan moves within the frame. And to pan left and right, remember it's right click and drag the hand tool. And we're going to just scale the plan so it's central to the A1 sheet of paper. And roughly everything's fitting on there. So now we're going to hit, while we think we've got the right scale, we're then going to hit edit to get exactly the right scale. So this is where the scaling comes in. So distance on layout in millimeters, we're going to select 1, hit enter, and it's going to say millimeters on layout and distance in model. And because we want this plan to be 1 to 2000, that will be 2. So 1 millimeter in paper space in the layout represents 2 meters in real life. So hit enter. And I was pretty close to the exact size. We just need to we want to see a little bit of this bridge, so I'm just going to recenter that. Make sure that you do not scroll while the frame is active. If you do, you'll lose the scale. So right now you see the scale appearing at 1 millimeter to 2 meters. We want to keep that and carefully double click out of that frame. So now we've double clicked out of that frame. It's locked the paper space. So now we have the correct plan at the correct scale. You may want to add a title to the paper, in which case you want a new layer. Call the layer text. To activate that layer, to activate a layer, you simply tick it, and then come to your drafting tools, and there's a text option here, create text. And we first select a font, keep it, I generally use Arial, it's fine. Make it bold, it's a title. And we can begin typing something. So I'm lazy, so I tend to copy and paste things. Just typing in the details. Size, we can rescale later once we understand what the consequence of that is. Okay, that's going to hit an insertion point. So we're just going to top left. So now to rescale the text, we simply double click the text that we've positioned, and we can just, it's dead easy, just I think 4 looks okay. So that's the name, or maybe a little bigger. Make that 5. So we've got a name, we've got a scale there. So that's the first layout done. Now you're going to also need to scale this plan to 1 to 200. So you're going to find a section within the park that you want to design, and you're going to have to scale the plan to that section. So to do that, we need to make another layout. Let's just rename this layout 1 to 2000 so we don't get confused. And so let's name this layout 1 to 200. This time, in our paper space, we want to select a 3 landscape and call it 1 to 200. Hit OK, and here we are back to this panel again. So same procedure, activate the frame. Sometimes it's a little awkward, there we go. Activate the frame, choose your site, find out where your site is. I'm going to use the courtyard of this Wasserturm. And when you think you've got about the right scale, then come to your properties panel. In the panel that says scale, hit edit. And this time it's going to say distance on layout in millimeters to, which is going to be 1. It's always 1. And distance in model. So to get 1 to 200, instead of 1 millimeter equaling 2 meters, it's going to 1 millimeter is going to equal it's just 0.2, and hit enter. There we go. So again, I was almost about right with the scale. Just going to drag so I can see a bit more of the building and center that panel, and then I'm going to lock that frame. So I've now got my plan at 2 scales, 1 to 200, 1 to 2000, and 1 to 200. I'm going to copy and text this text across. If it will let me. Ooh, it's auto-saving. What's it going to do? It's going to crash. No. And I'm going to paste it here. No, didn't like that. Don't know why. Layers disappeared. Possibly because the text layer is at the bottom. But it shouldn't be. We can move it up in the stacking order to see if that was the problem. I don't think it is. Nope. Okay, well, didn't work. Then in that case, we just write it again. Sorry for those of you that can't be bothered, but we have to do it again. I'm just going to copy and paste that text and make a new text frame. It's good that we go over this again anyway. Drafting, text, paste that text in, and remember it was 5, bold, Arial, okay. And this time I'm going to knock off a 0. It's okay. Now we have a plan at 1 to 200. There are dimension options here, but don't get too concerned with that at this stage. We just want now to keep this tutorial simple. 1 to 2000, 1 to 200, and now to print. This is important, otherwise we're not going to get anything. We need to export this as a PDF. So strg or Control P is print command. You can also print using the print option here. Ooh, it's going slow. So Adobe PDF, 1 to 2000, A1 size, portrait, everything's right. This time we want to click raster output. The reason for that is that we want to be able to see the raster background image. If we just want to see the lines, we click vector output. So that's an important difference to make. Print in color, and everything else we keep the same setting. Background bitmap is on, that's important. Okay, so it looks good. So we can hit print. And it'll ask you for a location to save it. So for me, it's Gestalten Darstellung, exports PDF. I'm going to call this, yeah, test2 video. Save, and then it'll take you to this exporting panel. It'll take a couple of moments to do that. And there it is. Just give it some time to open. There we are. There's our PDF with the title that we just made. So the same again for the 1 to 200 view. Remember, Control P is print. This time we're going to keep all. This time you're going to have to select Adobe PDF size A3. It should happen automatically. If it doesn't, just make sure you've double checked that. We're printing raster output, background bitmap, and again hit the print option. And it'll ask you for, in the title of this file, make sure you put the scale. So at the end of Südgelände, just write the scale of each file. So this one's going to be 1 to 200, and I'm happy with that, so I'm going to save. saying it's not valid because of these, yeah, that's right. You can't use a, what's it called? Double dot. You have to, let's just call it 200. Save. And there it is. Our saved PDF base that's scaled at 1 to 200. So that's how you scale and output a plan from Rhino, and how to align a bitmap image to an existing DWG and export as a PDF file to scale in a layout. I'm going to give a few more tutorials on how to take this further, but remember that this is Gestaltendarstellung analog for a reason, so we're not going to focus too much on digital processes. I just wanted to show you this because this is a time-saving, very important digital process. All of you should be able to export a plan at the correct scale. Hope you've enjoyed the video, and see you next lesson. Goodbye.